Hey there, it's Anonymous T, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Anything I say is alleged in my very, very personal opinion. This is for entertainment purposes only. None of this is personal. The Copyright Act of 1976 is in the description box. Some housekeeping items, some meat and potato items. It is free to follow me. Free to follow me on this channel, Anonymous T. Free to follow me on my other channel, Anonymous T Podcast. Free to follow me on the Tickety Talk at Anonymous T Podcast. Free to follow me on the Instagram, on the Instagrammies at Anonymous Reality T. Free to share everywhere. Free to hit the like button so it gets out into the algorithm. Free to share with your family, your friends, and your foes. And do not forget, whether you are coming or going, to hit the like button. So today we're talking Huda fans. Y'all need to come to the front of the classroom. Y'all need to come to the altar at church. Y'all need to come to the front of the line and explain to me why y'all are crying on the internet that Huda deserves to be here at this point when it should have been Jeremiah. So welcome, y'all. This is a review for Love Island USA Season 7, Episode 32. We are 687 subscribers away from 23K and everything else. I appreciate y'all support and everything else, and y'all watching my takes or whatever else, and even y'all, those of y'all in the bushes that are watching my takes and everything else. Appreciative to all y'all. So nonetheless, we have an episode in which Chris is clearly tired of Huda. He's over it, and I've always been 10 toes down in that Chris still wanted Shelly this entire time. Chris was checking out Shelly. She was right behind her when she had on that little pink number when they were all chanting, "Eat that kitty in the hideaway." Remember that? Go back and look at that scene. Who was right behind Shelly? Who was checking out Shelly? It was none other than Chris, you guys. Chris did what he had to do to get into the villa. He had this plan where he was going to go all in on Shelly after one conversation and giving her flowers on her pancakes, giving her extra pancakes, and then went ghost once Huda crashed out, right? Then after that, talk to Ace, let Ace know, I'm not going to stop pursuing Shelly unless Shelly tells me so. Then went ghost when Huda asked, is Shelly your favorite? What is she doing that I'm not? Next thing you know, they're bumping uglies, y'all. They're bumping uglies, and we never see Chris do anything as it pertains to Shelly ever again. And I think what Chris was thinking that Shelly was going to chase him. And Shelly doesn't chase them, she replaces them. If you're not going to chase her, she is not going to put any work towards you. And Chris, F around and find out, right? F around and find out. Now, I gotta call out production. Because y'all do this all the time. See, y'all have a love-hate relationship with Huda too, I'm noticing. It's more so on the hate level. Y'all really want her gone, but y'all feed her fans and y'all feed the frenzy into the foolishness. And it always is convenient, with the exception of tonight. You know, the past few episodes, conveniently, y'all made it seem like her and Chris were doing well. They were getting along. They were cutesy and everything else. And it was all a lie. Y'all lied. It was all a lie and lie. Here's the thing. Chris and Huda do not have effective communication. So Chris ended up telling Nick after the fact that Huda will not kiss him outside of challenges. When he tries to go in and kiss, she looks away or turns her head or whatever else. And, you know, Nick is shocked, Ace is shocked, everything else, because they're like, well, didn't y'all kiss outside of a challenge before? And Chris said, yeah, in the speakeasy when no one was around. When I tried to kiss her after the baby challenge, she's trying to look around to see where everybody is at, right? So then we get to the hideaway, and I'm not going to lie to y'all. In all the seasons that I've seen, the hideaway that was barely used this season production, this is the least amount of footage I have ever seen in a hideaway, y'all. Like what are we doing? Usually we get like a full like rundown of the hideaway, like all of the different props and toys and things that y'all could be using in the hideaway. We get a lot more screen time of the couple, whether they're making out or doing other stuff. Like you blinked and you missed Amaya and Brian's hideaway scene, y'all. blinked and missed it, y'all. And I don't know what the reason or the rationale for that was, but if you blinked, you missed it. So nonetheless, we get to the bedroom scene, and the widows, Iris and Pepe, y'all. The widows, Iris and Pepe, are getting it in. They are getting it in and getting it cracking, y'all. And I was like, oh, I was like, what about the being so distraught over Hannah being gone? Hannah's all over TikTok talking about Pepe's my man. Is he still your man after tonight, Hannah? Are you going to let this thing go with Iris after tonight, Hannah, is what I want to know. And then Iris, you trying to say how much TJ was the love of your life. You guys were Ken and Barbie. Y'all were about to do this. Y'all were about to be going to the end with Nick and Sierra. Now I've never looked at Pepe that way before. We were bombshell, brother and sister and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And now y'all doing the grown-up. Y'all doing the grown-up after hours in y'all bedroom. What about TJ? What about the loyalty to TJ? And also, I need to call out the fans who are making a big deal of the fact that Shelly and Ace are choosing not to be intimate, that that's somehow an issue. Listen, not everybody is trying to be on Front Street with whatever type of intimacy or whatever else they got going on. And I think from Shelly and Ace's upbringing, they're very cognizant of how they're being portrayed on TV. They've got a lot of siblings. They got a lot of family that's watching and tuning in. And I think they made an honest decision and said, hey, listen, looky here. As long as these cameras are rolling, we're not going to do too much as far as, any type of physical intimacy goes. The emotional intimacy, the mental intimacy, fine. But anything physical, we're not crossing that line. We're not crossing that boundary. So as much as y'all want to say that they're scamming and that this is a real life couple who's married with kids, no. Not buying it, y'all. Not buying it at all, because there's people in there that have been coupled out barely 24 hours that are already getting it in, and doing the do. And I also want to say this too. Just because people are doing the grown-up in these beds at nighttime does not mean that they're committed, does not mean that they're all in on each other, because most of these people, real talk, are having the SCX, and there has been no talk of closing off, or they did a lot of this SCX before closing off. Taylor and Clarke didn't do that, right? And Nick and Sierra did that. However, it was clear as day that Nick was not really into Sierra as much as he claimed, right? So, and then Jeremiah and Huda did that. But as we know, obviously things fell apart with Jeremiah and Huda. And now we're seeing it again with Huda and Chris. And that is falling apart as well. So y'all put too much onus on, just because somebody is having SCX, that means that they're really into... No. Some people, they just want to get their rocks off, and that's it, and that's all. Now, nonetheless, you guys, we go to the next day, because there really wasn't a lot in this episode. Usually the last weeks of these seasons are pretty boring. I don't understand why Huda is turning up like this the last week of Love Island USA. It should be a light and mellow, boring week. We should be seeing dates. We should be seeing cute little gestures of people closing off, people saying the L word, all of this and all of that. People become a boyfriend and girlfriend. And this Huda and Chris mess has got to go. It has got to go. So Huda and Chris and Elandria and Nick, they're having a chat close to where the hideaway is. They're trying to guess what happened the night before. And Nick was all Nicolas is did you hear the earthquake? Did you hear it moving last night? And da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, trying to crack some jokes. We have Amaya and Brian having a debrief of what their favorite part was last night. Brian was all you know what my favorite part was? And I was uh-oh. I was here we go. Listen, we can all have their opinions. I'm still not sold on Brian. And that's okay. I can have my opinion on that. I am not sold on Brian, right? And this is dating back to how he was with Adrina at Casa Amor. He can show physical intimacy. He can do all these things, y'all. But look how quickly he switched up on Adrina even after that, when they were making out the whole time on Casa Amor. So I still got my eye on dude. He has to prove me wrong. He has to prove me wrong, and there is nothing that he can say or do as long as the show is still on that is going to change my mind. Because I feel like all these Casa boys, they all have their own hidden agendas, and they have not shown me yet that they are to be trusted. The only Casa person who has appeared the most genuine out of the men and the women has been Clarke. So Clarke that tea. Clarke it, y'all. So nonetheless, you guys, next morning, you know, everybody gets their breakfast or whatever else. Brian and Amaya come back from the hideaway. Everybody's cheering. Brian basically tells the men, like listen, it went down. It went down, and it was going to go down, right? We went to the jacuzzi, and then it went down. We didn't do nothing else. We were in the bed the rest of the night. I was like, okay. Amaya tells the girls, she's like, you know, we had a great time. Things were well, this and that. I'm all refreshed. Her hair's all jacked up and everything else. And so the girls were like, so what happened? And she was like, well, we went on a journey twice. And they were like, oh. And so they were like, so was the journey twice, like, did y'all take a break in between? She was like, no, it was back to back. It was back to back where we did that. I was like, oh. And then they were like, well, did, you know, Brian listen to the instructions? Did he do the eat the kitty in the hideaway? Eat that kitty in the hideaway. Did he do all of that? And she was like, yes, your girl was satisfied and da-da-da-da-da-da. So they're cheering again. They're all happy, this and that, y'all. So then the boys get a text message, y'all. The boys get a text message, and this season, is there no female producers this season? They're like, boys, you get to go on a trip. No girls allowed. Y'all get to go play basketball. What? So we just had the baby episode where normally you send the girls away to get manis and petties and massages and stuff. You're trying to tell me there's nowhere in Fiji that y'all could have sent the girls, even if it was to Casa Amor, just to get them up out that villa and have some, you know, R&R time, like away from the men. But y'all can quickly put together a little basketball date. No, this is what I'm talking about. Y'all doing way too much catering. You know, it's not equal opportunity this season. I see production. I see you, right? We see each other. So the boys are excited to get out of this villa. They are excited because Chris already knows. He knows that y'all showed his stats or lack thereof on the internet. So he's like, this is my time to show that even though I'm not on a team right now, that I can still shoot baskets. I can at least contribute to, you know, the bare minimum of a pickup game, right? I can at least do that, right? I can do that, you know, playing in the park. I can show my skills. You know, Pepe, he's got that form. He's ready to go. Nicolas is like, listen, I'm going to be in a group with Taylor and Chris. I'm not going to hold y'all, right? So nonetheless, the men, they go to this basketball court, y'all. Go to this basketball court and play 3-on-3. And it looks like Taylor, Chris, and Nick's team won, even though they didn't really say or specify. The one time they showed Ace. Now, Ace has got handles. Ace can hoop. But production is messy, showing the one shot that Ace attempted that went nowhere. That barely made the rim. Why are y'all so messy? Y'all know that somebody leaked his yearbook pictures to show that he was on the basketball team. Why are y'all so messy like this, production? Y'all just be doing too much. So, you know, Chris was making shots. Pepe was hooping. Even Nick had some handles. Nick was doing decent as well. Taylor was doing good too. I don't know why people are shocked that Taylor could hoop or could shoot some basket or could do some pickup game. Like, I'm like, just because he's not the typical athletic build of a basketball player, like, a lot of people can do pickup games. A lot of people can play basketball and things like that. Like, they don't have to look like LeBron James. like make it make sense. They don't need to look like LeBron James or Michael Jordan or anything like that to be able to hoop and play like a game at the rec center, y'all, at the local YMCA. Like what are we doing? So nonetheless, they never actually said who won the pickup game. I'm guessing it was Chris's team. I'm assuming, right? Because he's trying to really show out there. I felt like this was a reel for him to potentially get a job, to be back on the bench on some team on the Europeans. Because he needs this money. He needs this dinero, y'all. He does not want to be homeless, but he does not want to be with Huda either. So the boys debrief after this, right? And they sit on the bench, and we find out that this basketball game was sponsored by Pepsi. This was sponsored by Pepsi. You could get cherry Pepsi. You could get Pepsi Zero. You could get regular Pepsi, everything else, right? You can get any type of can of Pepsi. Just let us just show that this little logo so that Peacock lets y'all know that Pepsi sponsored this event for y'all. Otherwise, y'all would still be in the villa doing nothing. So the men are talking. Chris basically puts it out there that there's things that he likes about Huda. However, he feels as though their communication styles are not the same. He feels as though he's tired of the fact that they're, they could be intimate. They could be doing all this stuff in the bedroom. But then when it comes to them being, out and about or whatever outside of a challenge, she refuses to kiss him and all this and all of that. But I feel like they've had a lot of conversations outside of challenge where Huda's asking him, like, is there anything I need to do to improve? Is there anything I need to work on? And Chris also turns it off. He pulls a Huda on Huda and just tries to turn it into intimacy, tries to turn it into something nasty or whatever else. And she's like, if I'll throw you up on your mouth. And he's like, we can do that later. Like, it always turns sexual with them. So I feel that y'all don't really talk about y'all real issues anyways. Y'all don't have real communication when she asks you, but you have no problem either getting down with the get down when it's time for the lights to go off in the bedroom. So I feel like y'all both aren't making sense. Y'all both being hypocrites. Y'all both are not keeping a bean about what it really is. And so Huda's back at the villa talking about how perfect Chris is to Shelly and Alandria and how she's never been this happy before. And I'm like, this is a setup for a takedown if I've never seen one. This is a scheme that is set up by Todd if I have ever seen one, and everything else. So, and the girls are just eating this up. They have no idea, but they have nothing else to go on other than to believe Huda's delulu about Chris. So the other guys talk. Pepe's like, yeah, I never would have saw it. Iris and I were both widows and everything else, but we kind of had our own little, we were friends first and this and that. And Nick is like, yeah, me and Alandria, we have like this friends to lovers thing. And Alandria's back in the villa talking about her and Nick, how they have this friends to lovers thing. And I'm not going to hold y'all. There's something now that I'm kind of looking at this Nick and Alandria thing from a different lens. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like something's going on behind the scenes and I can't put my finger on it because y'all had no problem, production, feeding us all this Nick Alandria content when they quote unquote got dumped during Casa Amor. Y'all had no problems devoting an episode to them. Y'all had no problems devoting an episode to them when Sierra got dumped from the villa. But then I feel like now we've kind of just like, just have them faded back into the background. And it's weird. It's very weird. And some people are speculating, and by some people I mean Nick Alandria fans. They think that this is a scheme that is set up by Todd. They think that production is hiding their connection intentionally to push the Amaya and Brian win, and that they are getting treated like Leah and Miguel. These are their words, not mine, y'all, because apparently Leah and Miguel came out that, and I don't know how long ago this was, but basically they tried to say that production hid the seriousness of their connection. Production hid the seriousness of their connection and that they were having a real development of their connection and everything else, and production did not want to show that. They wanted to focus on other aspects of their relationship to make it look like things were not as good as what it seemed or whatever else. I don't know if that's true or not, but what I did notice was that the last episode was Alandria has this necklace that has two charms on it, two heart charms on it. And one of them appeared to have been given to Nick and everything else during the baby challenge episode. However, I don't know what's happening tonight because I still feel like at times there's this level of awkwardness. And I don't know if the awkwardness is because, everything kind of happened so fast with, two separate occasions. Alandria and Nick are like together, and I don't know if they're scared to fully explore this to the fullest potential because of the circumstances of how they got together, or if they really are exploring off camera and we don't know about it, and they're not really showing the seriousness of their connection because they want to push the Huda drama, or they want to push other drama and everything else, so that way, you know, we can be, you know, we can ignore them, because it was convenient that they hid them this episode to really push the Huda and Chris issue, and then also the Taylor and Clarke agenda. So here I am thinking that production likes Taylor and Clarke this whole time. Had I known that it was a scheme that was set up to just get them dumped, like what? I mean, Taylor and Clarke, they're talking at the beginning of the episode, like what type of wedding they would want. Clarke is like, give me some pink, give me some this, give me some that. Taylor said this is the happiest he's ever been. They're talking about life on the outside, what that looks like. Taylor's telling the men, even after they hoop, how he is really serious about Clarke and how he feels about her. Ace is interjecting, basically saying he can't wait to get back to the villa to see Shelly and everything else. Taylor tells the fellas he wants to close off with Clarke. And how convenient, Taylor. I mean, it's the last week of the show. Nobody else is coming in. Now, normal seasons, they would have brought somebody in within the past couple of episodes to see if one last bombshell could potentially shake up one of these couples. But I think that production's just done, and they're just ready for this to be over with all of the backlash and all of the drama and everything making national headlines of people using racial slurs and everything else. They want to wrap this up. They want to wrap this up. So no movie night, no Twitter challenge, none of that. None of y'all get nothing. Nothing. Not even another bombshell. So he said basically Taylor's idea with the fellas is Clarke used to be a cheerleader. Let's put together a cheer. Let's put together a cheer routine. And then after that, I'm going to ask her to be exclusive and everything else, because they thought about, I guess, spelling out closed, but maybe somebody thought that was too corny, so they decided to spell out Clarke. So when they get back to the villa, they're all, you know, coupled up. They pretend to be injured. They pretend to be sore and everything else. And Amaya, she had a funny soundbite in the Beach Hut confessional, and she was like, y'all talking about y'all sore and y'all in pain, and y'all don't know what y'all us women go through once a month when we go through our cycles, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Y'all have no idea. So they're pretending to be hurt and injured and sore and everything else. Not once did I see anybody go to the kitchen, try to get some ice. I didn't see anybody go get any icy hot. I didn't go see anybody get nothing. So if y'all were in all this pain, y'all were in all this soreness and everything else, where were the ice packs? Where was y'all ice bath at? Why wasn't any of y'all soaking in the tub or nothing? Where was it? Where was the icy hot, y'all? Like make it make sense. So nonetheless, it was an interesting moment, because the way Taylor and Clarke were sitting, Taylor is like licking his tongue out like he's trying to lick on the biddies, if y'all know what I'm saying. And that was an interesting clip that production decided to include in there, I guess, to really show how much all in Taylor was in. So the girls are like, yeah, we missed you and this and that, even though some of them did not sound convincing at all. Their talk, it really wasn't much to talk about. They were playing like this would you rather game that was very asexual in that nature. Huda did confirm that she does have a boob job that she feels was a bad job. Not much on whether you would have a bad BBL or a bad boob job. So I don't know if anybody else has a BBL or not, but Huda did admit to having some of the plastic surgery procedures. So, but then the other ones just got kind of really nasty that I really don't feel like recapping, because I just feel like it was like unnecessary. And Iris was asking these questions, and I was like, girl, like, but then you turn your nose up at other people's, and I just can't. So anyways, you guys, we get ready for the evening, and this is when everybody gets, done up, dolled up, all of that. We know a dumping is coming. However, they do not know a dumping is coming. So they all have a cheers, and they had already practiced this routine. In the middle of the cheers, once the cheers was over, literally they all in unison, all the men, they all did a little 1-2, got into cheering formation, y'all, and did their little Clarke cheer, did their little Clarke with the Clarke that T. They did the Clarke it cheer. to spell out Clark and everything else. And, and then the camera kept panning to Alandria. And why are y'all so messy, production? This is supposed to be about Taylor and Clark's connection, but y'all be doing this messiness for no reason. So then Taylor asked Clark to be exclusive with him. So she says yes. They have a cute moment. And here's the thing, Clark and Taylor grew on me. I don't have an issue with Clark. I just think, unfortunately, the way Taylor treated Alandria is what primarily sparked the backlash, and she is a casualty of that. And it sucks because I actually like them, and I feel that they're more genuine than most of the couples that are still in that villa, America. I thought this was Love Island, not Fave Island. But y'all can't pick it. Y'all. Why do we keep doing this? Why do we keep having the same conversation over and over again of y'all voting based off of emotions and not based off of what is in front of you? Whether you like the person or not, we are supposed to be voting on their journey as a couple. And if their journey as a couple is giving the most genuine or one of the most genuine couples, like that's what we're supposed to be voting for. Like make it make sense. You could be a fan of Alandria and also recognize that Taylor and Clark have a strong connection. And then y'all say, oh, Taylor and Clark can have a strong connection outside of the villa. But y'all want to keep in Huda, whose connections keep falling apart right before our eyes. Y'all act like Chris has not seen the episodes before he got to Casa Amor. He knows who he is dealing with. That is why he was able to leave this mask on for so long. He knew who he was dealing with. Now he's tired of dealing with it. So, Chris and Huda have a conversation, which was basically an argument because he's trying to get to the bottom of why she doesn't want to kiss him. And actually, I'm starting to believe that Huda may not be as into Chris as we have been made to believe. And perhaps she's thinking because they do stuff when the lights go out that maybe people aren't going to see that, or maybe production won't have that in. It's giving, I don't know, does Huda still like Jeremiah? Is Huda still hoping for a chance with Jeremiah outside of the villa? Like maybe she's thinking Jeremiah's not seeing those bed scenes and that's why she doesn't want to kiss Chris outside of challenges. This is just my theory. I think she's still hung up on Jeremiah because she referenced him in tonight's episode. She tried to make it seem like it was a problem if she kissed Jeremiah outside of challenges, but that wasn't the issue, Huda. The issue was how you treated the bombshells coming in and basically made it impossible for them to have a conversation with Jeremiah, and then you're giving the man all these hickeys and stuff as hopes that was going to be a deterrent from any bombshells wanting to get to know him. So you were doing the most to try to sabotage these other bombshells and calling them all types of B's, and then you called Jeremiah the PAB and everything else. So you did all that to make sure that everything was sabotaged, but then you wanted to get on your high horse and make it seem like Jeremiah could do whatever he wanted to. No, he couldn't. No. He couldn't, because Amaya was interested. Iris was interested. You humiliated Iris and said that Jeremiah wasn't attracted to her and that the only reason that he is with her is because she is the safe option and he doesn't want to challenge himself and be with you. And even through all of that, up until Jeremiah left, you still were trying to kiss him. You were still trying to make that connection happen because he was the finest man in the villa. To this day, the finest man that you ever laid your eyes on, and you wanted all of that. So I think that's the real reason she does not want to kiss Chris in public. She doesn't want to make it look like this connection is more serious than what it is. But at the same token, she wants to portray to the girls and everybody else that this connection is perfect, that this connection is doing what it needs to do. So that way you can win the show. Right? Because it's still a show at the end. She still wants she wants the ends to justify the means. But I feel like this is crashing and burning right before our eyes. Chris, for whatever reason, he's asking Amaya for advice about if he's tripping on the kiss situation, not kissing outside of challenges. But the thing is that this has been brought up to Huda multiple times now, and she still refuses to kiss him. So it's giving she doesn't really like him like that either, but if she wants to get her rocks off, like, she has no problem doing it. But if I feel like Jeremiah is still on the brain, because who's going to cuss you out at this point, Huda, for you and Chris being public when everybody else is publicly kissing wherever else? Everybody knows it's the last week. Everybody knows the show ends on Sunday, and it might end on Thursday and Friday real time for y'all because y'all tape a few days in advance. But what are we doing? What are we doing out here? So then everybody gets a text. Well, not everybody. Somebody gets a text that they need to meet at the fire pit. Let them know that America's voting and the person who has the least amount of votes will be dumped. Now, production was messy on how they did this order of couples because they didn't do it by who was the bottom two. They did it so that they could have a specific reaction from a specific set of fans that are voting. And I know what y'all did, production. Y'all are messy. So they announced first that Shelly and Ace are a safe couple, right? And then they announced that Iris and Pepe are a safe couple. And I was like, I see what y'all did. So there was a screenshot that had leaked that Taylor and Clarke and Iris and Pepe had the least amount of votes. I think they wanted Iris and Pepe in there over Taylor and Clarke for whatever reason. Right? But I feel like I actually think they like Taylor and Clarke, but I think they want Iris and Pepe in there to get Huda and Chris out. I feel like that was the play. The play is they knew that if they kept in Taylor and Clarke are not going to have enough votes to take out Huda and Chris. So they needed a specific fan base. They needed that Facebook fan base. They needed that Reddit fan base to vote for Iris and Pepe tonight so that they can get rid of Huda and Chris. That's what I think. And that's what I believe. They want Huda and Chris gone now because they're tired of, like it served its purpose, right? It served its purpose. Y'all got all this Huda stuff. Y'all got all this Huda content, but this is supposed to be a light and easy week. This is supposed to be a boring week of Love Island, and y'all too late in the game, Chris and Huda, to still be having all these issues and all these problems. So I think Taylor and Clarke was set up. It was a scheme, right? But they did this so for the bigger reason, the bigger objective is they want Huda and Chris out. Otherwise, they would not have shown us the past couple of episodes, the baby episode and this episode, of all the glaring issues that Huda and Chris have. So they announced Iris and Pepe the way that they did to make it seem like Pepe and Iris have more support than what they really have. They also announced Chris and Huda were safe, and Chris looked like he wanted to crawl under the fire pit, y'all. He looked like he couldn't believe what y'all were thinking. We just had this big fight. Huda is trying to tap him and say, Chris, look at me. America likes us. And it's like, no, Huda, no. They like your dramatics. They like you being unhinged. They think this is baddies. They think this is Real Housewives. They think this is Love and Hip Hop. But they're going to be in for a rude awakening that this is Love Island. And y'all can't be doing this, right? Y'all are treating Huda like this season's Leah. But the difference between Huda and Leah is Leah and Miguel are real. Chris is telling you guys he wants out of here. He's trying to secure. He feels like he did his big one with his basketball reel to try to land him another contract overseas for 9 months so he can score 2 points a game and 2 blocks a game and everything else off the bench. He wants out, and y'all were not granting it to him. So he looks pissed off. Huda thinks this is a good sign that America voted. But the thing is, they don't know when America voted. So America voted on a day where y'all had a good episode and some other people did not have a good episode. So nonetheless, y'all, also, we then have a situation where we're down to the final couples, right? We're down to the final couples, which is Alandria and Nick and Taylor and Clarke. Why did production have them both get to the fire pit? And see, now some of you Nick and Alandria fans, y'all are freaking out. Y'all are crashing out. Y'all are up here talking about schemes and group chats. I've got eyes everywhere. Y'all are putting together schemes and group chats because y'all believe that Nick and Alandria have the least amount of votes. And I'm trying to ask y'all where y'all think that at. They did that because they wanted the drama. They're breaking up the trio of Ace, Taylor, and Nick, and Nicolas. They also wanted the drama because this is Alandria's ex in the villa, right? They wanted, Taylor and Clarke there versus Alandria and Nick. You know, Alandria and Nick are a newer couple compared to Taylor and Clarke. We can argue that they have progressed more in their couple compared to Taylor and compared to Alandria and Nick, just due to the circumstances, because Clarke and Taylor have been together since Casa Amor, so they've been at this for a few weeks now. You and Nick have been at this for a few days. So I saw what production was doing there. They were trying to tell America, hey, we're having another vote after this. Y'all need to see who y'all didn't vote for and why. This is supposed to be Love Island. We've been showing you all this Taylor and Clarke content, and y'all refuse to acknowledge it. Y'all refuse to acknowledge it and want to vote on y'all faves. But I don't feel Nick and Alandria should have been at the casualty of that propaganda. Y'all should have just did a bottom two of Iris and Pepe and Taylor and Clarke, that those two had the lowest votes. So people understood these were the two lowest votes. But when y'all say in no particular order, it puts out the level of confusion. Y'all don't really know, you know, who is and who isn't. But then Nick and Alandria may interpret this as maybe they didn't like us, right? Maybe they don't like us. Maybe they don't like our connection, because I'm starting to feel like one moment Alandria's happy to explore Nick, but then I feel like other times she's pulling back. But then it could also just be a scheme. It could also be a scheme where production could be hiding their connection because they want to push other couples, i.e. Iris and Pepe. So nonetheless, they announced that Taylor and Clarke have the least amount of votes and are dumped from the villa. And my interpretation is Taylor, Nick, and Ace are distraught. I think they knew deep down with the America polls that they were not a like couple. But I think Taylor and Nick thought that they could still get to the end together. At least that's what I was thinking when they walked back into the bedroom. You know, Ace and Nick were like, this was supposed to be us to the end, Three Stooges, Three Musketeers. And then even at the photo booth, they take a picture of the three of them first before they take a picture with the guys. And then they have a conversation as well, just the three of them, that they're brothers, that they're besties and everything else. So although they didn't cry like they did when Nick was dumped at Casa Amor, it just looked like they were heartbroken. It looked like they were heartbroken and they were sad that Taylor had to go, because they saw how much him and Clarke progressed in their connection. And then you look at Iris and Pepe and you look at Huda and Chris and y'all like, well, what y'all still doing here? What y'all still doing here when y'all connections are not as strong as what Taylor and Clarke have? And this is why America, I will never take y'all seriously, but this is the same people who do all of this rah on the internet. But in 2016 and in 2024, y'all showed y'all hand. Y'all showed y'all true colors, so I should not be surprised. Nonetheless, I believe either the next episode, either Thursday or Friday, we're getting the family episode. And then they said Thursday we will see the results of our vote tonight. So the vote tonight is who you think should make the final. I don't know how production is going to do it this time, because I feel like if they do not get their desired final four, they're going to make the Islanders vote on least compatible. I feel like that's what it's going to happen. I feel like if it is who they want to get dumped, like what happened tonight with Taylor and Clarke, you know, they'll do that. But I feel like if there's a specific couple that they want in the final four and they want the Islanders to vote, knowing that the Islanders are going to be pro OG or pro certain Islanders over others, I feel like they'll do a bottom two again. Well, they'll make the top three couples vote between the bottom two who should get to the final. So that is going to be interesting. I think tonight was more of a bat signal for the Iris and Pepe fans to get on their job, to get on their Zoom, and get Huda and Chris out of there. However, Huda has a huge fan base, unfortunately. So I don't know how this is going to go, but I am tired of seeing Huda on my screen. This is Love Island, not Drama Island, not Chaos Island, not all of this other foolishness, because I feel like it's taking so much away from these other couples like a Taylor and Clarke that have a genuine connection. And that's the part that's frustrating. So there's that. That is it. That is all for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.